Is America's Mayor live from Manchester, New Hampshire. Tonight, wishing he was in Madison Square Garden. And we'll tell you why in a little while. If you don't know already, you probably do. But let's first go to the West Coast, where they're going to be counting ballots. Must be a good job to count ballots. You get a lot of overtime, huh? I mean, you count ballots for a month, and you vote for 2 months. And by the time you finish, the Democrat always wins. But nobody cheats. The Democrat just always wins. Why would you mail ballots to everybody in California and not kind of encourage them to show up on Election Day, which is a much surer way to assure that it's a legitimate vote if you didn't want to cheat? I'm just raising a question. I'm not making an allegation. Well, in any event, Ted, when we last talked to all these wonderful people, right? The race for mayor was the mayor who couldn't fill her fire hydrants first, Pratt second, but losing a few votes, and his very, very big lead over the left-wing imitation of Mondani was being cut down, right? And we did a calculation that it would take a while to cut it down completely. But then they doubled up on the votes for the wild left-winger who ended up for the first time outpolling even Baz. And now they've they basically just wiped Pratt out, right? So tell us what happened there. And also tell us, is that a harbinger of what's going to happen to Steve Hilson, who, after all, was even in a stronger position? He was first. They're going to figure out a way to dump him, even though he was first? I mean, anybody who can overcome 700,000 votes with 65% of the vote cast can do anything.
So as of now, Bass and solidly in first place with 34.32% of the vote. Rahman in second place with 28.55%. Pratt at 25.83% of the vote. Now 3 percentage points behind Rahman and falling.
Will he even be in the counting when it's over? When do they come up with a ballot that takes votes away from him?
And in the
minus 3,000 for Pratt.
Well, it's good news on the gubernatorial side. Is this the statewide totals here? Is that the final? So what they're saying here is that Steve Hilton maintains a 300,000 vote lead over Steyer for second place.
He had a big lead.
Yeah, I'm trying to calculate that right now.
I thought he was ahead on election night by about 5 or 6.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big lead, but it was a lead.
That's right. So as of now, Hilton maintains. Let's see here. So yeah, we'll come back. We'll come back to this.
When you get it, we'll get back to it. Let me tell you something strange about California that you're going to be surprised about.
Well, Steyer's now only 200,000 votes.
What?
Steyer's now just 200,000 votes behind.
And go find out where it all started. How many he was behind when it started? Pryor's the one who bought the vote, right?
Right.
He's the guy who spent $250 million and got 1% for president or less. He did better than Bloomberg, but that's not saying much. Bloomberg wanted to spend $1 billion and ended up, I think he ended up with a minus percentage.
Get a better hobby, you know? You can go to space, shoot, right?
He wasn't a bad mayor, but he wasn't a bad mayor. He wasn't.
So what do you think, Mayor? Is it gonna be enough to bump Hilton out?
I thought Hilton would make it. I really did. I really thought they I really thought also in a statewide situation, the sample of Republicans is like 3 times it is that it is in the city, and it would be harder to come up with shenanigans to moving from third to last.
Well, and here's the thing too.
But they're shameless. I mean, they control the state completely. If you want to say there's no evidence of cheating, you can, but there's no way to get evidence of cheating. This would be like trying to get evidence of cheating if there was a totalitarian party running the organization for its own purposes that did a tremendous amount of corruption. That's the Democrat Party in California. The estimates are that they're going to make Minnesota look like pikers with the amount of money they steal.
They already do.
But I mean, California politics is completely crooked from top to bottom.
Well, man, let me get back to
So
Hilton.
how are you going to prove it? I mean, they won't let you see the ballots.
Let's get back to Hilton. So I'm not going to plug any particular website, but certain prediction markets happen to still maintain it's a 96% chance that Hilton does advance.
That's a big chance, I would think.
That's the whole chance. That's
Well, how valid are those things? I mean, those are betting. I mean,
and that's the thing. And in these situations where you got a guy like Steyer, we've had this situation where we had some rich guys in Michigan just totally influence the markets by just buying it all themselves.
Yeah.
So Steyer could be doing some weird.
But
reverse.
Steyer now that they're pumping him up, but Steyer was seen as having pretty much a failed campaign. Now that failed campaign is going to get him to second place.
Until the Democrat, here's the argument, until the Democrats realized that there was only one viable Republican and that they were a little bit freer to choose the more progressive.
Wow.
I don't know. That's how they call it.
Wow. So here's what I wanted to tell you about California. You may be surprised by this too. In order to raise a local tax, meaning in a county or town or city, whatever their subdivisions are, you can only do it with a vote of the electorate. The politicians can't raise the tax. So I want you to know how much Californians love to be taxed. I mean, the ones that are living there in the towns. So you got to imagine also politicians who put a proposition on the ballot to raise taxes are Democrats, right?
Universally.
Yeah, Republicans aren't going to put in a state that has more taxes than we can even name or think about. Then Republicans are not going to raise taxes. Do you know every time since they've had this provision, which is about 5 years or so, I think it's about 5 years. You know, every time they do it, they get voted down. The people voted down. They don't want to be taxed more. What that results in is the state then picks that up, finds another way to raise taxes, and the state taxes go even.
Well,
so they get taxed anyway.
They're getting creative with it too, right?
But every time they try to raise like taxes for schools or taxes for local roads, taxes for this or taxes for that, the electorate, the Democratic electorate of California says, come on, jerk-offs, you got enough money. Just stop stealing a little and you can pay for these things.
Well, and think about those poor people paying $7, $8 for gas right now.
Yeah, but they know that the state is crooked.
Exactly. The only thing it has going for it is a beautiful state with so much natural beauty. So much natural beauty.
Every time you wake up in Los Angeles, it's foggy out.
True.
It's very depressing.
It's sad.
You can go find out how many suicides there are in Los Angeles. You wake up every morning if you're depressed and it's all foggy. You say, "Oh boy, that's it."
I think there's a lot of suicides, but probably not because of the weather. I think it's
drugs?
just because they're nuts.
Because of
right?
drugs.
Yeah, drugs and everything else.
So, did you guys see Meet the Press this weekend
Oh yeah.
with Christy Welker?
Oh yeah.
Do we want to show a little Meet the Press before we start talking about our trip to Maine?
Yeah, we should.
So the president really gave it to her.
That's right. So the next thing we're going to play, this is from Sunday. This is President Trump on Meet the Press. We're just looking for the best version of it. I think we have it right here, and we're going to play it right now.
Who did nothing
All
wrong.
right, just to be very clear, there's no evidence of what you're saying. But
There's
let me
a
ask
lot
you
of
about
evidence.
Todd Blanche. Let me ask you about
Listen
Todd
to me.
Blanche.
Listen to me.
Let's talk
There's
about Todd
tremendous
Blanche.
evidence. There's nothing
What's
but
not been
evidence. The
presented
election
in a
was
court of
rigged.
law.
It was a dirty election.
Mr.
And it's
President,
happening again right now
You've
in
never
California.
presented evidence
It's happening
that the
right
2020
now in
election
California.
was rigged.
Right now, it's look at what's
Where's
happening
the
in
evidence
California.
to that?
It's
The
4
Republicans
days.
are doing well in
California. It's no, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close
That's
to
how
coming
they-
up
that's
with.
how they count
You know
the
why they're
votes in
doing that? Because
California.
they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence
They're-
to support
all I have
that?
to do is look. All I have to
But
do is look.
that's not
And I
evidence.
listen. And I listen to people. And let's see what happens.
But sir, that's not evidence.
Do you think
and
it's appropriate?
That's how they
that
count the votes in
Do you think it's
California.
appropriate that they have an election and 5 days later they're nowhere close to picking a
State
winner?
and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging
They're
the
crooked.
votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote
They're
in
crooked,
California.
just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
Really?
Let's
Well, you
continue.
play right into their hands. then.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid.
Let's
you play
continue.
right into their hands with this rap. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But Mr. President,
You know why I
you've
got
never
that?
presented
Because you have no
evidence.
credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd
You
Blanche.
have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about-
elections
You
in
went
this
to
country,
court.
we're like a third world country.
But, sir-
Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and
But,
Meet
Mr.
the Press is crooked,
Mr.
and so
President-
is ABC, and CBS, and CNN.
But, Mr. President-
You're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good
Mr.
time.
President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat
I
in the
traveled
rain with
all
you.
the, I know. I
I've sat in the
traveled
rain
all the
with
way
you
to
for an hour,
Wisconsin.
on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press because you know what?
Mr.
A
President,
country can never be
We
great
traveled
with a dishonest
listen,
press.
we
Come on, let's
traveled
go.
all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
Well, you can't say that he doesn't tell you what he thinks, huh? Isn't it refreshing to have? Now, I'm going to assume I know most of you probably do agree with him like I do, but I'm going to assume that some of you disagree with him. You got to respect the fact that he tells you what he believes. Now, I know people will say, oh, he's lying about that. What he just said, he really believes. Now, what she just said, I know Christy Welker for a long, long time. And she's about as close to one of the honest ones as possible. I can't imagine she can just keep saying, and let's go to the elections for a minute, that there's no evidence that they were rigged. What is all the ballots that are missing in Fulton County, Georgia? Ballots aren't missing in a straight election. What is the fact that for 4 years plus, now almost 6 years, the governor and the Secretary of State of Georgia have refused to allow anyone on behalf of Trump to look at a single ballot and have, over my objection, Trump's objection, recounted the same ballots 3 times. Our contention being, what the hell are you doing that for? Because we have evidence that inside those ballots are crooked ballots. So you're just recounting the same ballots 3 times. Now, how is it possible that you recount them 3 times, and even with that, you get 3 different results? Because they don't have, and the Secretary of State, who is as crooked as they come, the Secretary of State has a report that he got the day after the election that he hid for a year and a half until John Solomon brought it out, that says that in Fulton County, there's no election integrity. There's no way to check the progression of the ballot, that almost every ballot's in doubt because they didn't keep chain of custody. That's sitting in a report that he has, that is hidden, that came out and the press ignored it. The press ignored the fact that he was removed from the election commission because the conclusion was he ran such two stinking elections with so many allegations of irregularities, because they were afraid to say fraud, that it was an embarrassment to the state of Georgia, so they had to remove him. That isn't evidence. I didn't say proof. Evidence is what you gather on the way to proof. This piece, that piece, this piece, that piece, this piece, that piece. How about the young lady that testified, I think the first time I appeared before the Georgia legislature, who became 18 years old and was going for her first vote? She got a new dress. She got all fixed up. Her parents went with her. She walked into the polling booth. I think it was Fulton County, crooked as hell. And she didn't know she had already voted. Well, she said, I think I remember I voted because plus I couldn't vote even a couple of weeks ago. I just turned 18. So I had to specially register because I was 18 by the time I didn't vote. And she put it in an affidavit like that. Well, you know, our expert said that he estimated, because that's what you have to do early in an election, because you don't have the ballots. And we never got the ballots. To this day, we don't have the ballots. Our expert estimated there were about 17,000 of those. Young people under the age of 18 who voted somehow. Now, I don't think the people under 18 went and voted. I think the people under 18 were in the position she was in. They knew the people under 18 weren't going to vote, so they were free to give somebody walking around money to sign up for them. Oh, walking around money is an expression and a term of art that's been used in New York for over 70 years, maybe longer. It certainly might go back to Boss Tweed, but it's used in Los Angeles also. It's the money that you give to people that want to make a little extra money by voting 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times on election day. Commonly done in New York, commonly done in Philadelphia, commonly done in Chicago, commonly done in Los Angeles, and boy, oh boy, an art form in Georgia. Now, this is everything I'm telling you is provable and true. So I don't know where they get the gall to say, even in the Post, in a news column in the Post by Ryan King. Well, no, actually, he is. I'm sorry, Ryan King. I apologize. He's actually quoting Kristen Welker. She insisted he failed to provide a shred of evidence about his disputed accusations that the 2020 election was rigged. There has been an avalanche of evidence that the election was rigged. I just concentrated on Georgia. How about Wisconsin, in which the court actually just about concluded that the election was rigged, but said that the remedy of discounting these ballots that weren't properly certified would be too harsh, even though the law provides for that remedy. Same thing in Pennsylvania. A big portion of the voting was just straight out illegal. The count was entirely illegal. They didn't allow a Republican to inspect a single ballot. Remember when they were counting? Now, some of you are too young to remember this, but remember when they were counting the ballots in Florida? There were really just 2 counties that were in dispute: Dade County and Palm Beach County. And do you remember that when they were counting the ballots, even in those places, which for 20 years were well known as places where they stole elections, you always saw a Republican and a Democrat look at the hanging Chad, right? Republican and Democrat, Republican and Democrat, Republican and Democrat. And then the Republican would say he disputes, or the Democrat would say he disputes, and then it gets put aside. And a neutral judge then gets to decide. You see that thing about the Republican? That never happened in Pennsylvania. All those votes were counted under the control, particularly in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, of the crooked Democratic Party. For the first time I ever heard of in American history in an election, there was not an opportunity of the opposing candidate to have a chance to have an observation. And the court, by a 4-3 vote, purely partisan, said that was okay. It was okay that you didn't get to check the ballots. So I don't know how someone of the integrity of Welker, which I think she compromised terribly with that interview, can say something like there's no evidence, not a shred of evidence. You might say you haven't proved it. But one of the reasons he hasn't proved it is every judge threw it out on, and you can figure this out without being a lawyer, on the grounds that there was no standing to contest it. Well, how can the campaign of the candidate, which is also the candidate, not have standing to contest an election where he alleges and wants to present proof that the election was stolen? That's absurd. The ruling is absurd. It's ridiculously, I don't know, if you want to be nice, you can say it's intellectually dishonest. I can find other things to call it. That's why the president walked out. And I respect him for doing it. I don't know what the hell he sat there that long for. Well, Ted?
Mayor?
We had an interesting weekend.
We did. We certainly did.
We went to Maine, and Stephen and Ted did some interviews to see who in the world would vote for a guy who, for 15 or 16 years, wore a Nazi tattoo, not just a Nazi tattoo, a tattoo of the SS murderers of Jewish people and Orthodox Christians in the millions, was proud of it, proud of their accomplishments, and then now lies about it, even though his girlfriend at the time recorded in her diary back in 2017, 2018, that he had a Totenkopf. And she says he explained to her what a Totenkopf was. She didn't know what it was. It was an SS symbol of the barbaric, terroristic murderers. Now, how in the name of God could she have known that back then? What is she, an expert? Did you know that? Do you have any idea what a Totenkopf was until this happened? She made this up and it turned out to be true? He really had it? Or did he tell her back then what it was? Of course he told her. And is he lying now when he said he didn't know what it was? He wore that thing for 15 years and didn't know what it was? He's lying about that like he originally lied about his sexting the world, offering his penis to people. And you want to put him in the Senate? Are you nuts? That's what we wanted to find out. Are the people of Maine nuts? Well, we found out that there are some that are. Please, guys, explain what happened.
A good number that are, actually. But first of all, who has enough time to do that much sexting in addition to your other, obligations in life, right?
How about a weirdo?
Yo, absolutely. But here's the thing. We ran into a lot of Platner support, and in terms of signage, and that's one of the gauges that you can have, like he had the most signage of the Senate candidates. And the people who were supportive of him were enthusiastically supportive, mostly. I will say mostly, because we did come into a little bit of reluctance. But I think that could have been sort of the format and the venue in which we were, approaching these people, right? So some of them might have been a little standoffish. Even if they admitted to us they were voting for Platner, they didn't necessarily want to it's kind of almost like New Hampshire in a way where well, actually, it's not like New Hampshire in a way. The people of New Hampshire are very willing to share their political beliefs with you. The people of Maine were.
Can they get to see Steve?
Yes.
I think they can see me.
No, they can't.
No?
Now they can see.
Even putting it on.
But some real support for Platner. And when we asked, so one of the follow-up questions we would always ask with regard to Platner is, what do you think about the allegations one with regard to the tattoo and two with regard to the women. And I got a variety of responses, and some of them were, I'll tell you what one lady said. She said, it just shows how viable of a candidate that he is, that they're trying to smear him like this. And I don't believe any of it. And so it's not landing with some of it. And these are people, I mean, that you choose what to believe. And I'll say that the coalition is a little bit more energetic. It almost reminds me of sort of the Bernie coalition.
The what?
The Bernie Sanders coalition.
Oh, yeah. Bernie Sanders, right.
And the people who are, it's not necessarily super strong in numbers, the people who are very, very supportive of him, but the people who are, you know.
Well, and we'll play some, here's some.
Yeah, please, before we go to a break.
Here's some video from our interviews in New Hampshire.
We're here with Lee
Maine,
Gregoire,
Maine.
still here in Sanford, and we wanted to get, so Lee is from Maine. Where are you currently?
Living in Massachusetts.
Living in Massachusetts. So if you know history, right, going back a long time ago, they were connected, correct? Massachusetts and Maine.
They were.
It's kind of like northern Massachusetts. We'll keep it, we got the brothers in here. Okay, we'll make this a group discussion. Yeah. But Lee, we wanted to get your opinion on the big Senate race. The whole nation's going to be watching this. Give us your thoughts here, Susan Collins versus Graham Platner.
So I think it's one of the very first times, it's an incredibly important race because this is the first time I've seen Maine actually make it to the national level. They could turn the Senate either way, right? Susan Collins has been there a very long time. I back when I used to live here and vote here, I'd seen her make some comments that were incredibly untrue over the years and was not really a big fan of hers. But what I've seen about Platner, and I've only seen what's been on television, I don't know the guy personally, so but what I have seen is that it fits a very typical Democrat kind of playbook where they're trying to get some guy out there, some manly man that they can put up front to say, so they can finally start winning over the men again, because they've been, you know, there's been from the left, there's been such an anti-male campaign for decades now. That it's just, you know, they've lost us for so many years, and it's not.
Of course, the primary coming up on Tuesday. It looks like this will be a Suzanne Collins versus Graham Platner November election. What do you make of that?
I think it's sad on both occasions. I mean, Susan Collins, to me, has voted with Democrats more than she's ever voted with Republicans. I may be wrong on that, but that's the way I see it. Graham Platner, I rate is kind of an abusive guy. His girlfriend put out some accusations about him that I find is, kind of appalling. I mean, this guy, he's got a Nazi tattoo on his chest, and he's, kind of a not very nice guy. You know, I don't think that's any place to start out as a politician.
Yeah. Well, you're from here. Why do you think he is gaining so much support? At least that's what we read in the polls.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that have been disappointed with Susan Collins for a long time. And Maine hasn't had prosperity here in so long. This is a state that they've done so much to shun business away from this state. They do nothing to help a business in this state. It's terrible. And they're overtaxed, and and you got people in the state house that are making up new taxes for the people that are living here. You know what I mean? And I was a Democrat here for a long time, and it wasn't until Trump that I became a Republican, because I just couldn't see what they were. I could just, after Hillary Clinton and all that, I just couldn't. I couldn't support that anymore.
And what do you want people to know about Maine? You know, a lot of national attention is going to be on this race, not just now, but going into November. What do you want people to know about Maine that folks outside here might not understand about the politics here, and maybe just the people? Take politics aside.
People in Maine are hardworking people. They're diverse. They have a lot of different abilities at their disposal, because you change so many different jobs in this state, depending on weather and things like that. There's a lot of hardworking people here that are getting their money robbed from politicians and their jobs given away to other places. And I think that Maine people are hungry for somebody that's looking out for them. And there's a lot of conservatives in this state that they don't have a voice because of what's going on in Portland or even Augusta. It's all in, Cumberland County is because they have the numbers. They make the decisions for everybody else in this state that works.
Well, he actually has a future as a reporter. I'll tell you, that guy's good, Ted. I mean, he covered the whole thing very fairly, told both sides of it, and I think gave us a sense, even though he's not necessarily a Platner supporter. He gave us a sense of why Platner is running so well. And here's the thing that I took from it that frightens me. To the extent that anybody has enthusiasm, Platner does. The Collins votes.
As a supporter of Platner, he was going to vote for Collins.
No. I didn't say he was a supporter.
Oh, okay. But
I thought he was trying. He was trying to explain to you why he does it. He's trying to explain to you why people support Platner.
Well, the man's, as we were discussing,
and I think
earlier,
he's probably right.
The man's man argument really hits, I think, too. And if that's who you're trying to win back, the fisherman, the lobsterman who's been on the boat.
Yeah, and he's yeah.
Oh, he's a Mainer like us.
Well, maybe let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we have a very special guest. Speaking of elections, we've got a special guest from your home state.
Somebody who's in the arena.
The Empire State.
As Teddy Roosevelt used to say, who's in the arena.
So right after.
And Trump should be entering the arena pretty soon in Madison Square Garden, my old home. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month.
Wow.
Including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news, even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax, channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly, where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's Coffee. Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. And we have with us a candidate for the United States Congress from New York, from Long Island, New York. Greg Hack, who we've had on sometime about a couple of weeks ago. He's really a very, very fine candidate and running in a very, very important district. Greg, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Rudy? Mr. Mayor?
Well, Rudy is perfectly fine.
I never
please.
know what to call you.
No, you call me Rudy, please. I like that better. I always knew when people called me Rudy, they were going to vote for me. When they called me other names, I knew they wouldn't. So tell me how the campaign is going, and so I don't forget how people can help you if they're inclined to do so. How they can, in other words, give you money.
Ah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was actually out all day today canvassing, and we knocked on today. We knocked on about 30 different doors and had great conversations with the people. And the same thing yesterday. We did 47 houses yesterday, just me personally with somebody else, and every single registered Republican voter is behind us.
Now,
That
what is there a singular issue that's the most important, or is it a couple of them, or?
Well, I think really what it comes down to, and what I'm hearing from people, is how we can't trust our representatives anymore. We can't trust the people in power. They're just wantonly spending our money for things that don't benefit the people who actually empowered them, which absolutely is insane to me. And that's one of the main reasons I'm running, to establish trust. I've been an honorable and trustworthy guy my entire life. I've done things. I've always put people over profits, and God, country, and family above everything else, and it shows in every single thing that I've done. So there's a very clear contrast between myself and Mike LaPetri, my primary opponent. I actually learned.
And then eventually with your opponent in the general election, who
Yes.
who has turned out to be pretty much a 100% supporter of the Democrat Party, which to me seems like it's gone insane.
You're not alone. You're not alone. It's absolutely insane. It's another one of the main reasons I'm running. Tom Suozzi, the incumbent Democrat sitting in the seat right now, voted 100% of the time with Biden's agenda. He voted for all these policies that are completely tearing apart the fabric of everyday life in America. And I think that's completely by design. But to vote that way and then come back to the district and say that you're a centrist — he signed some kind of ridiculous centrist pledge the other day, I saw. But he claims himself as a moderate, and it makes absolutely no sense. No sense. I mean, it does make sense if you're a slick guy like Tom Suozzi who wants to pull the wool over the eyes of the voter, but that's not where I'm coming from. That's not the beat that I walk. I'm about establishing trust. I've done that my entire life. I've done that in business, and that's why I'm very successful in business. I've done that in my personal life. That's why I'm very successful in my personal life. I have an incredible family with a supportive and amazing wife.
You don't have a Nazi tattoo, do you?
No, I do not. Absolutely.
Do you
not.
think you'd be running if you did?
No,
no, they would knock you. The Republican Party would not knock you right out, right?
Well, that would just tell me that I'm not.
How do they not knock him out? I mean, what the hell is wrong with them?
I think they're just used to getting away with so much BS. It's unbelievable to me, some of the things that they put out there. I mean, you heard about and another thing, you take a look at the LA mayor race, right? With Spencer Pratt and Mayor Bass. Have you seen what's happened with the votes, the absentee ballots that came in after the fact, after he was virtually a shoo-in to be in the top two? Now they have Rahman coming in. She's been.
Yeah, well, she even the first time she picked up like 8,000 votes on on Pratt.
Yes.
Then the next time she even outpolled Bass for the first time. Now I don't know how that can happen in all the entire election. She's always been in third, fourth, or fifth place.
Right.
And now all of a sudden she's outpolling even the front runner because she needed the votes.
Yeah, but you know what? To me, that tells me that our country's been stolen out from under us.
Yeah,
it really has. I mean,
and even if they're not cheating, which they give every impression that they are.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard to say that we're unfair if we suspect that they are when they count the vote for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And they're counting less votes than they count in France in 12 hours.
Well, it takes a long time to write in those absentee ballots for thousands and thousands of people.
And this is exactly, I know this from being a prosecutor. This is the old Democrat game. And they used to only be able to do it when the votes were very close.
Yeah.
But if you can create the opportunity for massive numbers of absentee ballots, the percentage you can change gets to be greater.
Yes, and it's funny. It's funny. Before I got involved in this, I really thought that our vote was sacred. I mean,
Most people think that, and
yes.
And the left-wing press likes to create that illusion. The New York Times says there's no proof that anyone does election fraud. You know how many people are in jail for election fraud?
Exactly. Well, you've been
I
through.
used to prosecute it.
Yeah, and you know, my opponent, like Mike LePetri, he says that Biden won without cheating in 2020. Unbelievable. I mean, those 315. Yes, he said that Biden won without cheating in 2020.
How would he know that?
Well, he was
I mean,
asked that.
I did the investigation, and I can tell you he's dead wrong.
Well, the fact is he doesn't know that, but he says that and he espouses that. He has no problem saying it in public, and he said it to our mutual friend Joe the Box. You know, on video, Joe the Box came up while he was being interviewed by David Zier and said, "Hey, LePetri, who won the 2020 election?" Biden, of course, he said. Shocking. You know, it's amazing to me. I just don't get it. I mean,
no, I don't get it either. And I think this is one of the things that has Republicans really upset. You see these senators and Congress people, and it's only like 4, 5, 6, but they're an incredible number. It's the number we need. Now, the Democrats don't do that.
How do
they go along with liars and cheats and Nazis and Jew haters and you name it. Yeah. And they go unanimously. Even Schumer goes along with the people who hate Jews.
I see that too. That which is
and
also stunning.
We can't stay together on good things.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And that's why we need to be a little more careful in the Republicans that we put in.
I agree. I agree completely. I think I'm hearing that day in and day out. I'm working like a dog. I'm going around the clock. So we're meeting every single person that we can in the district, and I'm running a very strategic campaign. I'm running this every single hour is planned out, and with respect to canvassing, I'm only focusing on, and I whittled down the registry list to just registered Republican voters in the district who voted in the last 3 general elections and the last primary.
Now, did you have to get signatures to get on the ballot?
I absolutely did. I needed, in New York, you need 1,250 signatures to get on the ballot for Congress. Again, I had a very strategic and organized operation, and we submitted 4,200 signatures.
Oh, that's good. And did they challenge you? Did they challenge you?
They had no way to challenge me.
Good,
those signatures, 80% of those signatures were just bulletproof.
Good. Well, we'll keep having you on. The primary is very late, right? It's September?
No, it's in 2 weeks.
Oh, it used to be in New York. When I ran for mayor, it was each time it was crazy. I mean, you didn't run until the second week in September, and then your election was like less than 2 months.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They changed that. It used to be a September primary. You're right. I remember. It's in June now.
Yeah, June 23rd. Actually, early voting starts in.
Well, we'll have you on again before the election. But
thank you, sir.
For those people that are not in your district, which would be a lot of the audience, once again, how can they get some money to you if they really are interested in Republicans who really believe in what we believe in and are going to effectuate that?
Yes. Well, they could go to my website, which is greghack.com. That's GREGHACH.com. And I actually call every single donor. I don't care if you give $5. Every single donor is called. Thank you. And thank you. And I tell everybody, I make it very clear. I want them to know that every single dollar goes to getting me elected. If every expense is publicly available. If you look at my expenditures, there's not one meal on there. There's no travel. Every single dollar goes to getting me elected. And I know how hard everybody works for their money. So you give me $5, I'm going to call you, and I appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you.
I take that very
thank you, and good luck. We'll have you on again, Ted. Let's make sure next week, huh? Before the primary. And the New York congressional seats are part of what put us over into a majority and held it for us. So this is an important seat for us. And we have to have a candidate who can win in that spot. And you're only going to be able to win if you can excite the Republican base.
I agree completely.
And he will be able to do that. I can tell you that just from interviewing you.
And
God
I'm
bless
seeing,
you.
and I'm seeing that day in and day out. I'm seeing that
Good.
with everybody that we talk to. So I
God
appreciate that.
bless.
God bless.
I'm very embarrassed to tell you that New York has an assisted murder law. And the New York Health Department, which I used to run, which again is an embarrassment, has just put out rules for doctor-assisted suicide. Now, I don't know when doctors got to be murderers. I guess with all the abortions, right? But a lot of good doctors would never do an abortion. Never. You become a doctor to save lives. So, I mean, New York becomes another doctor death state, a Jack Kevorkian state. There are 13 of them, that unlucky number, right?
Mayor, speaking of New York, I have a video of President Trump's arrival at Madison.
Yeah, let's show that because I spent a little time in Madison Square Garden with the president, and I want to see. Last time we were with him was the rally, right?
At MSG
in Madison Square Garden, the rally in 2024.
See, amazing.
So there's Marine One. That's Marine One landing at. I wonder where. Isn't that interesting? Oh, of course, he was coming from New Jersey. I'm sorry. So he probably came in Marine One. He was coming from Bedminster, New Jersey. So really, it doesn't make sense to put the big Air Force One up in the air. They might have used the smaller Air Force One. But
so, yes,
for that trip, not necessary.
As we expected, he is in a secure suite.
I bet he doesn't like that, but I'm glad he listened to the Secret Service.
And so he will be nice and safe. It looks like Lee Zeldin's with them, maybe Burgum. I see Duffy. Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, better be some good security there.
Who's that big, tall guy in the back?
It looks like Burgum.
He must be standing on something.
Remember, Burgum is a tall.
But he's not taller than Trump. I don't think. Well, but he's not in his seat yet. We must be. The game must be started.
They're chit-chatting. I think, if I'm not mistaken. Is Ivanka with him? I don't know who
the game is underway. The Spurs are up 9-5.
Oh, maybe it's Kai that's with them. I think
it really doesn't matter until the fourth quarter with the Knicks. If they're ahead before the fourth quarter, might be dangerous. So let's quickly go through a bunch of items because I want to send you to Dr. Maria, who has a very special guest tonight. I'm going to leave that as a surprise. Very, very distinguished guest tonight.
You get higher ratings by leaving it as a surprise than you would if you said
right. Well, stop it. So I told you about New York assisted murder, about which I am extremely embarrassed. The new Archbishop, Ronald Hicks, said this is an expression of a growing throwaway culture that discards life. Couldn't have said it better. And it's one of the main things that's wrong with us. We've kicked God out of the public discussion. We've kicked prayer out of school for no reason. There's no reason under the First Amendment to kick prayer out of school. There's no reason to kick religion out of academic pursuits. Religion is part of our history. If you don't understand religion, you don't understand the world. Well, a lot of people don't understand the world. Let me do a little review of Iran with you because we did it on the earlier show and we didn't do it on this show. The weekend was very, very, I would say it was kind of confusing because there were attacks back and forth. And it's hard to say who began them, right? It's like one, then the other, then the other. So we got sort of a schedule of it to try and figure it out. And that doesn't even help very much. All I can tell you is this is for certain. The Americans and the Israelis, their attacks actually did tremendous damage. They reached the target and destroyed what they intended to destroy. I don't know that Iran or Hezbollah or the Houthis, I can't so far see anything confirmed that they used about 70 missiles. I'm not sure they hit anything. It began on Friday when the U.S. intercepted Iranian drones that were headed to the Strait of Hormuz, probably to hit tankers. But we don't know what they were going to hit because America took them right down, knocked them into the Persian Gulf where they belong. And then, in order to make sure they didn't send any others up, they determined that they came from Gorak and Qeshm Island, which is right above where the strait is. And they blew out all of the facilities they could find there. Now, they've blown out so many things on Qeshm Island. I can't even believe Qeshm Island is there anymore. It's like there was a character in a Steven Seagal movie that every time Steven Seagal would go look for the criminal, he beat the other guy up. He just beat him up. The guy's brother. He would just punch him and break his nose again. This is what we do to Qeshm Island. Then, as a result of that, Iran decided to hit Kuwait and Bahrain. They always like, now Bahrain is their like brother that they like to punch in the nose for no reason. Bahrain has nothing to do with this, except Iran for centuries has hated Bahrain. I did security work for Bahrain, and during that period of time, Iran would go in once a month and kill some people in Bahrain for no reason other than they hate them and want them to belong to Iran, and they would rather not be part of a maniacal, theocratic group of murderers because they have a very, very fine king. And they're probably one of the most modern Muslim Islamic governments in the world, including with a Jewish woman who was an ambassador to the UN, some Jewish people and Christians in their parliament, public displays of crosses and Stars of David at appropriate, religious institutions, where in a lot of Muslim countries, you're not allowed to do that. So I have great respect for Bahrain. And of course, because of that, the insane homicidal regime of terror wants to destroy them. So they did try to strike Kuwait and Bahrain. And they targeted the U.S. base, which is the Fifth Fleet, which got them nothing. Now, CENTCOM put out a report of that, including pictures of the fleet to show that there was no damage done, because they claim they did damage, because they lie. Israel, as a result, struck back in the southern suburbs of Beirut at a Hezbollah compound. And the difference is that Israel strikes, and there were a number of them, and the American strikes at Qeshm and Gorak were at purely military facilities, whereas Iran, Hezbollah, and the Houthis were aiming purely for civilian targets. Don't believe this bullshit about trying to hit American bases. They know they can't hit an American base. They do it. I don't know why, but they do it. And so far, they haven't had one single success in hitting one of our bases. So Israel had a great deal of success hitting them in this southern part of Beirut, which got everybody angry because that's beyond the disputed zone, and that's a little too high up for Israel to go. Except it's the people that are murdering you go up there. That's where you go to murder them before they kill you, if you are a good prime minister, as Netanyahu is. Iran then launched ballistic missiles toward Israel. They claim 10 and 30. It's more like half of that. And there isn't a single death in Israel or injury or any observable destruction. Israel, however, retaliated with a massive attack in about 9 parts of Iran where they were not even contested, because Iran has no air defense. None. They just flew in, and if they missed their target, it was their fault. And they didn't. The Houthis then came out of nowhere, and they decided to try to attack Israel, but their missiles couldn't get there, and they fell down in the desert. Now, the press doesn't tell you this because they want to make it look like they're actually fighting a war. This is a clown show. And then they tried to block the Red Sea, and either the U.S. or Israel shot at them about 4 times and they went away. So I don't know what to tell you, but this is the report. And then we have the independent confirmation of it here at the back. And it tells you, is this high confidence or low confidence? Iran struck Garak and Qasem and did a lot of damage, high confidence. Iran fired missiles toward Kuwait and Bahrain, but made no contact, high confidence. Bahrain claims damage to the U.S. Fifth Fleet, low confidence. Israel struck Beirut and Doha on June 7, high confidence. Multiple reports, Israel-linked sources acknowledged the strike. Hezbollah was responsible for the triggering fire into northern Israel, medium confidence. Number of Iranian missiles, low confidence. Major Israeli casualties, damage from Iranian missiles, low confidence, not confirmed. Israel struck western central Iran, number of targets on June 8th, high confidence. On and on and on and on. The point that I'm trying to make is don't believe what you read. It was very shattering that Iran fired at the Fifth Fleet. I'm not even sure they got halfway there. It was very indicative of the fact that if we snapped our fingers, we could destroy them. And of course, I wanted us to snap our fingers 45 years ago. So you know where I stand, right? And here's why I feel very, very confident about that. I just calculate the number of people that would be alive if we had done that. And it's well into the tens of thousands, just Americans. The people who would mostly be alive are Iranians because just like China, they have a propensity for killing their own people in tremendous numbers. Quickly, Delaney Hall, you know that in New Jersey, right? The place where there are rats and rodents and the poor little illegal aliens, the rapists and the murderers and the thieves and the perverts and the child abusers and the human traffickers and the drug dealers, most of whom are in there, right? That's what they are being treated so cruelly. Well, several congressmen, albeit Republicans, made a tour. And like the independent verification of Delaney Hall, it was considered to be better than a Bureau of Prisons facility. And perfectly, much nicer than probably where they were living. Here's just a picture of the exercise classes that they have. Do you see that? These are the people that Governor Cadet is riling up the people of New Jersey to stab ICE agents. And that, of course, is Governor Mickey Sherrill, whose other achievement in life was having cheated as a cadet at the military academy, being held up for 9 months for getting in the Navy, and is one of the real disgraces in the history, in naval history, that she and a number of her colleagues who cheated on their exams were allowed in the Navy, because if they didn't, they'd have lost about half the class. Maybe somebody should have kept them out as a deterrent, huh? And as upholding the honor and dignity of the United States Navy. That ended up with her eventually being in Congress, where she was a horrible congresswoman. And now she's a governor who encourages, in every way possible, violence and does nothing about it. and won't help federal agents who are getting stabbed, beaten. I don't understand why, when this first started, whoever the president was didn't put these people in jail. This is obstruction of justice. It's an accessory before, during, and after the fact. Ukraine is making real advances, and we'll go over this more tomorrow night because a lot of this is very valuable to us. They're figuring out a way to change the economics of this missile drone situation, which we're now taking which we're now taking advantage of in Iran, and are having great success now. And Ukraine is having great success with Russia. Now that'll last about 6 months because Russia will figure out a way around this, and then. But right now, Russia is making no advances on territory. They haven't made an advance on territory in a year. They're getting pushed back. They're losing people. And their only response is to hit civilian targets, which is, of course, ghastly. Well, the Knicks are going to be playing tonight. But what I want you to do is video it and go to Dr. Maria, because that's more timely and it'll educate you. And the Knicks don't matter until the fourth quarter anyway, right? The game will go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you sit there and you'll get upset. Whoever you root for, not going to matter until you get into the last 12 minutes of the game. And even then, it's the last 10 minutes of the game. What's that?
That's you with the New York Knicks jersey. Oh my God.
Oh, look at that. Well, that's fun.
That's you.
Well, I've been at the Garden with the president back when we were just, maybe even before I was mayor, but probably when I was mayor. I can't see it. I can't see who it is. Obviously, considerably taller than.
Comment below if you know who it is. I'm sure the mayor actually.
I wish I could see that better. I would know who it was.
David Checkins, president of the New York Knicks.
Okay. Yep. David was a good friend.
All right. Well, go
and so was Jimmy Dolan. Well, Jimmy was the CEO. He was the president of the Knicks. So Jimmy is the CEO, and then the Knicks are run by one group, and the Rangers are run by another group, and then there's Madison Square Garden. So they're part of a conglomerate, but they're separate companies. I mean, a basketball team and a hockey team are two very different things. And the management he has right now at the Knicks, I'm talking about Jimmy, is the best he's ever had. That coach and his staff are, I mean, I know Brunson and Towns, and they deserve. The other three starters are fabulous too. I mean, they pick up every time the stars are out. So I'll make one last observation in the last game. The two best players on the court are Wembyani, otherwise known as Wemby, who's 7'4" and can shoot like a guard. And of course, Brunson. Hard to know who's more valuable, who's better. About equal. And they're both very clutch. And they don't miss. Except in the last 10 seconds of the game the other night, both of them missed. First, Wemby threw the ball away. Very unusual because he's a great passer. Brunson got the ball, got fouled, went to the line. Now, he got the critical 1 point to put him ahead, but he missed the second point, which gave the Spurs the chance to have 8 seconds in which to put in just a 2-point shot and win the game. Of course, Wemby took the shot who never misses, and he missed. So how do you know about basketball? Which means it's going to be a real close game. Let's see what happens. Enjoy it. I hope the president enjoys it. Go over to Lindell TV, watch Dr. Maria, and then put the game on. That's when it'll get interesting, I promise. God bless the people of Israel, the people of Ukraine. Please, the people of Israel, our people, and our president. look after him, keep him safe. I'm so glad he decided to sit in upstairs instead of on the floor, just because of the crazy people that are around. He's got to think about us, you know, and he is. God bless him and take care of him, dear God, and take care of us. And we'll see you tomorrow night. God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze,